Hello guys, how are we all doing? Welcome back to FA Cup predictions. We are back with FA Cup round 5, 5th round games to predict in midweek, Sophie. There's some big games coming, so we're getting the video out today on Sunday, just in time for some of the games which kick off tomorrow on Monday. Are you excited for the FA Cup?
I'm very excited actually, mainly because our team's still in it.
Yeah, we're still in it. It's a pretty interesting mix. The majority are Premier League teams, a handful of Championship teams, and one team from non-league, the National League South, and we'll come on to them shortly. Before we get into this video, guys, Sophie, set us a like target.
1,830.
830, there you go, 1,830. Right, make sure to hit the thumbs up button. It is free to drop a like, and while you are there, just make sure you are subscribed. If you hit the like button and subscribe button, then you are a legend, so get involved with all of that. And Sophie, let's get into predicting some FA Cup games. Let's start with Monday night's game, a game we will be going to at the CBS, Coventry City versus National League South, Maidstone United. We've got to start with them, Sophie. Maidstone, I mean, well done to them for coming this far. Remember, this is the 5th round. The winners are in the quarter-finals.
Yeah, it was the manner that they did it against Ipswich. They literally got pelted all game long and won with 2 shots on target, 2 goals.
I think when there's this amount of difference in the leagues between teams, that's the only way you're going to be able to win. You know, hard work, but also a bit of good luck. And Maidstone come here, Sophie, as a strong National League South team. They've performed well this season. They are pushing for promotion. They lost their last game to Averley, who are newly promoted side, who've actually done the double over Maidstone this season. But on the plus side for Maidstone, they will be better rested than Coventry, as they don't play on the Friday coming into this game, whereas Coventry do. Now let's talk about Coventry, Sophie. Coventry City's finest hour came in the FA Cup in 1987. A brilliant FA Cup story that a lot of people of the older generation will remember. Coventry City in the FA Cup over the last few years haven't had a great record. The last time we got to the quarter-finals was 15 years ago. But have things opened up for us, Sophie? On paper, we've got the easiest game, but I don't want to take this for granted. Let's not forget, of course, Coventry City lost to Wrexham, who were National League last season. But, you know, Maidstone and National League South were Wrexham a League 2 team pretty much in waiting. I'm getting my excuses in early there. But as we say, Coventry come into this possibly rotating their team, having played on Friday as well. And Friday night was terrible, Sophie. We got battered by Preston, but then again, we always lose to Preston, so there's no great surprise there. And I'll be honest, Sophie, Maidstone bringing 5,000 fans does make me feel a little bit uneasy. And, you know, seeing what they did to Ipswich, I genuinely think if they come in with a strategy, they can frustrate Coventry. George Elokobi is a fantastic manager, and I do want to see this side get back to the National League. The final thing I want to say, Sophie, is other than Coventry fans, everyone is going to be
backing them.
Everyone's supporting Maidstone.
100%. Everyone loves an underdog, including myself. But not this game. You're coming up against my team, so... Yeah,
you are absolutely right. I mean, if Maidstone had come up against pretty much anyone else that was left in the FA Cup, we would be rooting for them. It's the underdog story. But you're coming up against our team, and we don't want you to win. No. But you know what? I'm not saying they can't, and I will give them a goal. But surely, on this occasion, the Championship quality might prove too much. Coventry 3, Maidstone 1. So I'm not being, like, too disrespectful there.
Yeah, so I'm not going to be too disrespectful either. I do think there is going to be a difference in class. However, Coventry are going to have to rotate pretty heavy. We've got quite a few injuries. We can't afford any more. But obviously, we will want to progress. So we're going to have to go fairly strong. Maidstone, I think they're going to be bang up for this. You've got to be. All the fans will be as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if they got a goal either. Do you know, I'm going to say 2-0. 2-0 City.
Yeah.
Which, yeah. I know it's a lot lower league opposition, but it's still a good result. Get through to the 6th round.
Obviously, I want Coventry to win, but it would be fantastic to see some limbs for Maidstone if they they do score, let's be honest. So there you go, we're both back in Coventry. Share your thoughts on that one. Like I say, I'm not saying Maidstone can't win, and this game really could be anything. It could be 1-0 Maidstone, it could be 5-0 Coventry, but that's our predictions for that one. Let's move on to the next one, Sophie. It's a Premier League versus a Championship team. It's AFC Bournemouth versus Leicester City, and to be honest, it's pretty much a Premier League team versus as a Premier League team.
Pretty much, yeah.
Leicester City look like a Premier League team, don't they? They look like they're going to be going back up this season. A couple of results recently haven't been amazing, but look at the amount of points they've got already. Exactly. They are doing so well. And against Bournemouth, Sophie, this should be interesting. Bournemouth are, obviously a strong Premier League side now. They look in no danger of going down. They're pretty solid in the middle of the table. Bournemouth obviously have got to be favourites being the Premier League side, but I don't think it's one of those where if Leicester win it's a big upset. I think Leicester come here with a decent chance, and if Leicester come back up this season, which I think they do, I think they probably stay up next season. They're going to be a club with quite good resources and players to be able to push back on in the Premier League again. This is interesting. Leicester, of course, they won the FA Cup just a few years ago.
Yep.
Bournemouth haven't won the FA Cup before. And is there an outside chance they could do it this year? Possibly, if things go well for them. But you know what? I'm going to go for the Championship side to win this one, Sophie. Maybe a little bit of a surprise, but I don't think it is really that much. I'm going to go Bournemouth 1, Leicester 2.
Okay, I'm going the same, but the other way. I think Bournemouth will go quite strong in this because why can't they go on a good cup run here? Leicester, I feel like they'll go quite strong as well, actually, but their focus this season's got to be getting promoted, which is virtually almost secured, really. But for me, Bournemouth have too much and they're going to progress. But I'm going to say a tight game. That's why I'm only saying 2-1.
Yeah, I think that'll be a good game.
Yeah, I think it will be.
On to the next one, Sophie. Let's go to Ewood Park as Blackburn Rovers take on Newcastle United. To be honest, Sophie, I've got to give Blackburn quite a bit of credit for the way they dismantled Wrexham in the last round, because that's something Coventry couldn't do last season. And even Sheffield United last season struggled to shake Wrexham off. But Blackburn took them down after being 1-0 down. They come up against Newcastle, Sophie, and Newcastle, for me, are one of those teams that aren't directly, in my favourites to win it. The favourites for me are probably like Liverpool and Man City. Yeah. But I'm keeping an eye on Newcastle here because they are a big club and they're, growing in financial terms. They're trying
to silverware.
Exactly. They need a trophy. And I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility. I think they get through here. I'll give Blackburn a goal, and I'm going to go 4-1 to Newcastle. Okay. Let's say there's some goals at Ewood Park.
Yeah, I think there'll be goals as well. I'm going to say 3-1 Newcastle because I can see Newcastle going quite strong here. Because as I've said, they want a trophy. Blackburn, they have had a good cup run, to be honest. They have looked good in the cup because they've been struggling a little bit in the league. But I will give them a goal as they're the home side, but that's about it for me. Newcastle 3-1.
Yeah. Once again, it's not impossible Blackburn win. They have got the home advantage, but you do feel like Newcastle are going to win a trophy soon, don't you?
I think it's unlikely that Blackburn win this. I'll say that.
Yeah. On to the next one, Sophie. I do think this one will be interesting as we go to Kenilworth Road. It is Luton Town versus Manchester City. I suppose Luton Town have drawn the short straw getting Man City.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, the way Luton are playing this season, so I think they can make it very difficult for them. Now, last time out in the Premier League, Luton lost 4-1 to Liverpool. I felt the scoreline was quite harsh on Luton because in the first half they played really well. And it wasn't that Luton were particularly bad in the second half, it's just Liverpool are really strong. At Kenilworth Road, Sophie, Luton Town have been very difficult for the big teams. Man City only won 2-1 there and they had to come from behind.
Yeah.
I might go for the same scoreline.
Yeah.
It would be fantastic if Luton win, but come on, this is Pep Guardiola's Manchester City. They are going to try and sweep up all the cup competitions. Going to go Luton 1, Man City 2.
Yeah, I'm actually going for the same, and I can see it being the same fashion. Luton going 1-0 up, and maybe that's going to be the scoreline at half-time, but Man City, a little bit like Liverpool, come out firing second half. Shame for Luton because they have got a couple key players out injured, which obviously they need for their relegation battle, but also for a good cup run. But coming up against Man City here, that is the shortest straw you can get. But I do see it being a fairly close game. So yeah, 2-1 Man City.
2-1. Who's to say Luton can't win? Well, us, I guess. But we'll see. 4 games left, Sophie. Let's move on to Stamford Bridge. And this is also quite interesting. It is Chelsea versus Leeds United. Now, Chelsea this season are performing okay in the Premier League. It does seem to me, I've said a few times, that they raise their game for the better teams in the Premier League.
Yeah.
But for this one, they'll be the favourites. And I don't know if that suits them. Leeds United, Sophie, come here, in a very fierce promotion race in the Championship. That's really where their focus has got to be. But if they could just carry the wave of good form that they have had and good results that they have had this season into this game, do you know what? I think they could actually pinch it. There will be an FA Cup upset somewhere in this round, surely. And maybe I'm going to go for Leeds United. Chelsea's recovery time from the weekend will be less. Chelsea playing, of course, in the Carabao Cup final on Sunday, whereas Leeds United were involved in the Championship against Leicester on Friday. Let's do it, Sophie. Chelsea are the favourites, but I'm going to give this one to Leeds. I'm going to say Chelsea 0, Leeds 1. I don't think that's that outrageous. They've been very good this season, and they probably will be a Premier League team next season. Yeah,
well, that's looking likely as well. But for me, I think Chelsea, they can't underestimate Leeds. And that's what I think they've been guilty of at times this season. So as long as they bring their A game, I can see them winning this one. I'm going to say it's going to be quite a few goals. 3-2 Chelsea. It's going to be an entertaining game. Yeah,
that does sound exciting. Share your thoughts, guys. Did Chelsea get through? Will there be lots of goals? Could Leeds get through?
I think Leeds it'd suit Leeds to have it like really low scoring and just nick like a 1-0.
Yeah. You think the lower scoring it is, the better chance Leeds have of winning?
I do, yeah.
There you go. Right, on to the next one, Sophie. I really, really like the look of this one as we go to the City Ground. It's Nottingham Forest versus Manchester United. Now, one thing I quickly wanted to mention, Sophie, is I sent this to you online the other day. You'll have seen it was doing the rounds. Vera, the Nottingham Forest fan, her reaction to the Forest fans singing Mull of Kintyre.
It was goosebumps. That was just a beautiful moment. I'm glad it was captured.
Goosebumps, absolutely spot on. I felt that way going to the City Ground before. You know, they really are a very passionate fan base. And who knows, Sophie, can they beat Manchester United at the City Ground? They already have done this season. It was only a month ago they did beat them. And for this one, I do think Forest could actually win. This game is obviously a very historic matchup. And if you're an older viewer watching this, you'll remember in 1990, Manchester United went away to Nottingham Forest and Mark Robbins' goal won that game for United, which saved Sir Alex Ferguson. And then he obviously went on to win the FA Cup that season and become one of the best managers we've ever seen in England. And that was against Brian Clough's Nottingham Forest, another one of the best managers we've ever seen. But when we come back to this one, Sophie, Manchester United, they have been playing pretty well in the Premier League recently. I think they've got a lot better since the last time they met Forest, only a month or so ago. But I'm going to do it, Sophie. I do think if this was at Old Trafford, I'd be on Manchester United. But at the City Ground, things can happen for Forest that maybe they wouldn't happen if they were anywhere else. I'm going to go for Forest here, Sophie, to get to the FA Cup quarter-finals. Forest 2-1.
Okay, I don't see there being a winner in 90 minutes, you know.
Ooh.
I'm going to say a 1-1 draw. Man United do it on penalties.
Oh.
Yeah, which will be...
Hey, I tell you what, Nottingham Forest have a good track record of penalties.
I know, and then being the home side as well, if they can get that crowd on side, you don't know, but I've just got a bad feeling that Man United will win it.
A bad feeling?
A bad feeling, yes.
We're alienating the Man United fans. Now, I do think it'll be a good game, and fair play to whoever wins this, because I think that'll be a fierce matchup. Share your thoughts on Nottingham Forest versus Manchester United. Up next, Sophie, it's an all Premier League matchup, and this one's a sort of mid-table matchup. It's Wolves versus Brighton. Maybe it's a little bit unfair to say mid-table because Brighton are trying to push for top 6. I don't think Wolves are a million miles behind, though. The difference between these two, maybe Brighton, yes, have been performing better over the last few years. But if you just look at this season, Sophie, I've really liked Wolves.
I have as well, actually. I think beginning of the season, I was really worried that they might go down, but they've really turned it around.
And the way the draw's opened up here, one of these winners will be in the quarter-finals. Once again, an outside shout that one of these could win the FA Cup. I think on their day, they're capable of taking down one of the big 6 in an FA Cup semi-final or final. I'm going to just say home advantage wins this one. I think Wolves are having a great season in the Premier League, as are Brighton. But with Brighton maybe pushing for Europe, Wolves can have more of the vested interest in the FA Cup. And they did beat West Brom, so they'll feel like, come on, let's go. It's lined up for us. I'm going to say Wolves 2-1.
Okay, yeah, I've agreed with what you're saying, and I agree with your scoreline. I think Wolves will do it 2-1. I think Brighton's main focus will probably be on the league, but I feel like they'll still go quite strong. Wolves, they've got to go virtually full strength for this one because, like, as you said, they have got an outside chance of winning it, that both teams do. But they need to get past this one, and I only see Wolves doing it. 2-1.
2-1. Going for the same in that one, guys. Share your thoughts for that game at Molineux between Wolves and Brighton for a place in the quarterfinals. The final game, Sophie, is at Anfield, and it's Liverpool versus Southampton. This game last season was, of course, a Premier League matchup. It could be next season if Southampton can get back to the Premier League. Liverpool this season, Sophie, they are fighting on quite a few fronts, and as we keep saying, it's Jurgen Klopp's last season. The narrative, the romantic idea of him winning all the trophies and running away with them when he leaves Liverpool in the summer. I think Southampton could come here and maybe try and cause some problems. It depends what Southampton you get, because in a couple of games recently they have become a little bit unstuck, but in this game, surely the quality of Liverpool, Sophie, going to Anfield as a Championship team, even if you are one of the better ones, you're rarely going to come away with anything. Liverpool 3-1.
Okay, I'm finding this one hard on the scoreline. I know my winner straight away, but I do feel like Liverpool are going to rotate a fair bit, because obviously they've got quite a few injuries, so they might look at this as almost a winnable game and could rest a few players, but have them on the bench just in case they're needed to step in. As you said with Southampton, recent weeks their form has dipped a little bit, but not just that. The performances they've been putting in hasn't been at the standards they've been setting. It really depends what team turns up. I'm tempted to agree with you, but I actually think there could be another goal. I'm going to say another 4-1 win to Liverpool.
Really? Wow. Okay, there you go. So Liverpool to win that one. Share your thoughts then, guys, because that does wrap up the 8 FA Cup 5th round games. Share your predictions for those. And as I said, guys, make sure to drop a like. Sophie set us a like target of 1,830. So hit the thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe. We will be live streaming the FA Cup quarter-final draw, Sophie. Are Coventry going to be in it?
I hope so.
I hope so. But we're probably going to face a Premier League team if we are. We will see. It's getting exciting, guys. Only a few games to go until the final. Thank you for joining me, Sophie.
Thank you.
We will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.